Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome everyone, episode 39 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. You can catch us every Wednesday via YouTube at the Capital Wrestling YouTube, and also on SoundCloud, just search El Toro's Podcast. Find us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. Find me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Any business inquiries, go to capitalwrestling@gmail.com. Any talent looking to get on shows, sponsorships, all that, just email capitalwrestling@gmail.com. Right now we have brownpapertickets.com. Go on there and then search Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. Search there and you can get some good deals. Also go to Groupon.com. Nice 2 for $20 deal going on. Any other Capital Wrestling inquiries, go to capitalwrestling.com. Also, every Monday night we're live on Twitch at 7:05. Just go to twitch.tv/Capital Wrestling. And in association with the GFQ guys from Queens, gfqlive.tv. You got plenty of merch to go around. Go to whatamaneuver.net, prowrestlingtees.com, and now amazon.com. There's a brand new Bastards t-shirt, the Rotunda Capital tee in all sorts of different colors. So you're going to want to get that. We have beanies, we got hoodies, t-shirts, everything you want. You could want with baby onesies. It's crazy. And if you have WWE 2K18 right now, submit your creative wrestler from the Capital Wrestling roster for a chance to win tickets on December 29th. Just tweet or email us. We've seen one by Ken, it was done of Ken Dixon, and we've got other ones that people have been doing. I think Bo Crockett, and I've seen a few more. So keep submitting those, and you have a chance to win free tickets for World War IV on December 29th. Now, on December 29th, there's a hell of a card we have going on there. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but also tonight we're going to have 2 great guests. And a little bit later on, I'm going to talk to John Kermon before his match versus Ken Dixon. And that's going to be a fun one for the Capital Wrestling Championship. But before that, we're going to talk to a really great guest, and he's been on here before. And he's in the first ever Paqui Chip Deathmatch versus Logan Black, and they have a history with Capital Wrestling. And it's Jeff Cannonball. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. What you been up to?
Well, right now I'm a little sick, so I'm pretty much just been relaxing, trying to get over that, and but at the same time eating plenty of hot things, preparing for what could be in the Paqui Deathmatch.
Now, does that how does being sick affect your preparation, just in general, for any match?
It's been a lot more laying on a couch, a lot more sleeping, and pretty much not doing much else because I hate being sick. I'm your typical dude when it comes to being sick, where I feel like I'm dying and it's the end of the world.
So pretty much no P90X.
Yeah, no, not for me. Not right now, at least.
Oh, I think you just lost an ab. But any shows you've been on, or has this sickness affected your dates at all?
Actually, no. I just worked a show for a company called H2O down in South Jersey, and I was fine. I felt fine. This was on Friday, and then Saturday I woke up feeling a little bit worse, and then Sunday I woke up, and that's when it was over. I kept waking up Saturday night feeling crappy, and then Sunday I got real sick, and I got something this Friday in Connecticut, so I'm hoping. That's why I'm doing a little extra rest and sleeping as much as possible. I'm hoping I feel a little bit better by then.
Nice. And where's that at Friday?
It's for Blitzkrieg Pro in Connecticut.
And have you been wrestled in Connecticut before?
Yeah, this will be my second time there for Blitzkrieg. The first time was a real fun six-way. This time I got a singles match, and we'll see how it goes. I'd really like to feel better about that because, as you know, and as people listening to this probably know, I'm a hefty gentleman. I'm a man who enjoys a little extra food, and so my wind is not always the best. And take away my breathing out of my nose and a throat that feels like it's been lit on fire, and my cardio is not going to be great at all if I don't get better by then.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, hopefully the next few days you'll give you some chance to get better and be prepared as you can for that match.
I'm trying.
Hopefully Tara can take care of you as well.
Exactly.
She looks like she's a big support system for you, whether it's a flaming table or just helping out just in general for you.
Yeah, she really it really goes above and beyond on everything, and it takes a lot to put up with me. Not only am I bleeding almost constantly, it seems like, but I'm also an immature jackass, and that comes through a lot, both in public and at home. So, good on her for taking care of me. I think she's the one who's just cleaning right now while I lay in bed talking to you. So.
Well, we are very thankful for everything she does to, support you and keep you ready for Capital Wrestling as well.
I'm thankful for her as well.
It's almost end of the year, and December 29th, obviously, we see World War IV. What have your goals been for 2017, and have there been any that are not checked?
Let's see, 2017. I know a big goal for me at the beginning of the year was to win a deathmatch tournament because it's the kind of the thing I'm known for. And I was in a bunch of tournaments I never won, and I actually checked that off with I'm playing Wrestling Survival of the Thickest too. So I got to win that tournament. I won my first singles title ever. I've been tag champ before in past years, but I've never been a singles champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked that off with H2O. It's been awesome. It's been a great year for me. I wrestled in Canada for the first time, which is always a goal of mine. I've kind of been checking off a lot of goals. It's going to be hard to kind of top this year when it comes to 2018.
Where'd you wrestle in Canada?
I wrestled for a company called C4 in Ottawa. It's an amazing company, and they've brought me back. I've been there 4 times now, and there's going to be plenty more going into 2018. We've got a good relationship going. I love it up there, and those guys are great.
Now, C4, does that what kind of matches do they have? Is that kind of death match as well?
No, those have actually been normal. They don't really do the bloody thing. There was a guy up there named Viking, and he was known for death matches, especially in the early 2000s. And he works there, and he does more normal matches there. But when they started bringing me in, he was pushing really hard for them to book he and I in a no-rope barbed wire match and let us kind of get crazy and do what people know us for. And they were not having it. And so we never got to do that, but we actually never even got to wrestle each other up there. But I've had a bunch of great normal matches because, as much as I love doing the death matches and it's kind of what I'm known for, I could do the other stuff too. That's what I do at Capital Wrestling. That's what I do in Blitzkrieg Pro. That's what I do all over the place. So, C4's kind of given me that chance to do that in front of a very large crowd, and it's been awesome, especially, my only international bookings, I don't have to go up there and bleed to death.
Well, which also brings to mind the fact that when it comes to death matches in that culture, is it more of an American thing, or what other countries really celebrate that?
Japan is all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much everything we do in American death matches was taken from Japan.
Yeah.
In 1995, they did the first King of the Death matches with IWA Japan. That's kind of the one that everybody knows because of Cactus Jack and Terry Funk in the exploding barbed wire match. And then, Atsushi, excuse me, I didn't realize how my nose being clogged was going to make that hard for me to say.
No worries.
Onita brought the death matches to America, and we kind of took off running with them. And Japan still does them. I don't know as much about it, but I know Mexico has a deathmatch scene now. There are guys in Canada doing it. There's a company up there called Death Proof who I haven't gotten to work for yet. Just dates haven't matched up, but they're killing it too with the death matches and doing all sorts of bloody, crazy things.
Now, is that something where also, the older you get, would that be something where you kind of lean away from it?
I want to say yes, but I love doing it, so I don't think so. I've always loved them ever since I was younger. I kind of fell in love with them too, watching a company called FMW from Japan, and it's always kind of been like a big passion for me. I mean, so is wrestling in general, but I really fell in love with guys like Cactus Jack and Mr. Pogo and Onita from Japan, just taking it to a whole new level. So, like, seeing that kind of, like, it didn't change my perspective on wrestling because I still love normal wrestling. I've still watched it, my entire life. But it was another facet of it that I fell in love with. And so I love doing it. I'd like to say I'm going to slow down. Every once in a while I'll have a real brutal match. And the next couple of days I'll be recovering from it and super gluing wounds together, being like, this is stupid, I need to stop doing this. But then once I heal up, I'm all about it again.
I remember that picture you had on social media of the blood spurt, and it looked just like a people's eyebrow.
Yeah, that was a good piece of artwork that happened.
What do you remember what match that was from?
That was from a company called VOW. They did a Lord of Anarchy tournament. It's their deathmatch tournament. That was in the finals. It was me, Dale Patricks, and G Raver, and it was a light tube prison match. They pretty much just lined the ropes with light tubes. I think there was loose light tubes all around. There was barbed wire boards and everything. And excuse me, I'm sorry. Towards the end of the match, we kind of just started swinging the rest of the tubes. Like we did a bunch of stuff, and it was kind of like, all right, let's just destroy everything else that's in this ring. And so it was just chaos for like, I think I timed it. It was like just over 2 minutes of just glass smashing. And by the end of it, I just had blood spurting out of my hand. It was not a normal experience. It was a very weird feeling, both looking at it and feeling the blood actually like shoot out of the vein and into the air. And so that was something that that was one of those things where I sit there and go, I wonder if this is worth it. And I've done several since then already.
Yeah, I remember talking to DJ Hyde a few months back on this podcast, and he had mentioned, literally the art of swinging a light tube and how there's certain ones you use and certain ways of doing it, which amazed me because I never knew there was so much of a science to it.
Sure. Yeah, there's a science for everything, but just like with, a normal suplex, there's still room for error. Whether you're swinging a light tube or doing a headlock takeover, you never know, like something could go wrong, and that's just kind of what happened there, whereas G Raver and Dale Patricks are both extremely talented, and I would trust them both any day. I've wrestled both of them several times, but accidents happen, and it's just like you could fall down, you could take a bad bump in a ring in a normal match with no gimmicks whatsoever. When you're swinging glass, there's always going to be room for error, and that's just what happened that day. But I got away with just super going and shut, no hospital visit. I probably should have, but so was life.
Yeah, I mean, we're glad that you're okay and you just continue on. I mean, probably one of the toughest sons of bitches I know. Outside of John Kermon, you guys are both tough sons of bitches.
Yeah, I feel like we're both tough in like almost different ways, but there's more respect there these days, so I'm happy about that too.
I mean, so before we get to that, we'll talk about, I guess, so just coming up December 29th, right before New Year's, though. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Excuse me. Yeah, get healthy. That's the first one. Let's hope I'm better by then. This year I was doing real good. I was losing a bunch of weight, and I know it's generic to say you want to lose weight for a New Year's resolution, but I was doing it, and I was killing it, and I got down to my lowest weight I've been in my adult life, and then recently I've kind of got a little off the rails with that, so I'd like to get back on that. That's kind of the big one. And then as far as wrestling goes, I want to keep traveling. I want to go to more places in Canada, maybe win a couple more tournaments, but I've also recently been doing more of the non-deathmatch thing, and I like doing that a lot, so I'd like to keep showing people I can do that. I can do the matches without the blood and the guts, Yeah,
exactly. And like you said, losing weight sounds cliche, but especially as a wrestler, just to be able to, the conditioning aspect, so I can only imagine that helps in that regard.
Oh, yeah. And for a fact, I've got surprisingly good cardio when it comes to in-ring, but, it could always be better.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that the last time you were on the podcast, and I've always, seen you in the ring, whether it's at Capital or other promotions. I've noticed that as well. I mean, you can definitely go, and, you don't get blown up 5 minutes in.
All right. Well, thank you. But yeah, like I said, it could be better. I'll admit that. It's probably not as good as somebody like, even like Logan Black or John Kermon. Well, John Kermon's a whole different species, but you know what I mean. It could be better. It's good for what it is, but I'd like to improve on it. Yeah,
and that's always good. There's always room to improve, and because if you ever get complacent in wrestling, whether it's conditioning or other aspects of it, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, no, that's one thing about me is like say what you will about my style of wrestling or my weight or how I look or whatever, but I don't really get complacent ever. I'm always striving for something more, trying to get a little bit more out of wrestling and myself.
I mean, if you want to get something more out of yourself, there's definitely the Flaming Table on YouTube. It's definitely another way for people to see who Jeff Cannonball is outside of the wrestling ring. So where did the Flaming Table come from, that idea for that?
That's more like a behind-the-scenes look at kind of my life, and I've always been a fan of spicy food ever since I was like a really young kid. I loved, hot pepper flakes and way too much hot sauce and everything. And recently I forget who, but somebody showed me like there's all these YouTube shows now, which I guess I'm kind of out of touch. I had no idea about, and so I started following them and seeing different people do like different hot sauce challenges and interviews where they use like hot wings. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that's something I want to do. And nobody was doing it with independent wrestlers. And so I kind of was like, I could take this kind of niche programming and make it even smaller, I guess, with independent wrestlers and things like that. So I started doing it by interviewing people over wings. And even since then, I've grown. Now we're doing different challenges. I've been doing more short-term videos. Instead of just these long-form interviews, we've been doing like short videos where we just do different challenges, and it's been a blast. It's been painful because I end up doing everything with people, but
yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and it's a cool way to like kind of get more guys out there and show kind of how wrestlers are when they're not in the ring. It's a whole different world when you're sitting there crying from some food that's way too spicy.
Yeah, I remember you had one against Jimmy Line. You've done the Abominable CPA. You did Matt Tremont, and then Tremont's like, yeah, I'm one tough guy, but this all the stuff he's done did not compare to the Flaming Table.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun seeing Tremont kind of let his guard down.
And especially, I think he said he had a deal with the diverticulitis or something like that. So I mean, that definitely didn't help it.
Oh yeah. He's got plenty of problems that he shouldn't have been doing it with. But even like recently, I did some. It's not up yet, but it'll be up soon with like Kyle the Beast and Bill Carr and guys who are very like known for they're above like larger than life characters. So it's kind of cool to strip that away and watch them suffer pretty much.
Now, recently you did one with a guy I think you met at a gas station.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I get hit up by fans a lot, asking me if they can kind of do like a fan episode, and it's a cool idea, but it's just there's so many more like wrestlers I want to get first.
Yeah.
But being a pro wrestler and being kind of a glutton for money, so this fan offered me money, and he worked at a Wawa in town, the finer food convenience stores of the New Jersey area, and he offered me free food and money, and I said okay, and went to his house and we filmed a weird video with the Paqui Chip, the one that we'll be using at Capital Wrestling. I didn't eat it, but he did, and I filmed it, and he was a lunatic.
Now, I know he was actually very entertaining, so I think it worked out very well. And you'd said, he's like, are you going to eat it too? And you're like, no, I've already done it. So when it comes to the Paqui Chip, I mean, how at this point, since you've done it before, how resistant are you to do it again?
It's one of the worst things. It's probably the second worst thing I've done when it comes to hot food. So trying to avoid it when I face Logan Black is a big plan. I really don't want to do it again. And so I'm not looking forward to that. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he has to eat it for the first time instead of me eating it for the second time.
And how would you compare it to those wings that you eat on your show?
They're so much worse. It's so much worse. The wings are like a slow build, and they get worse and worse. And they get brutal. They're terrible. But that one chip is worse than all of them put together.
And I remember seeing, too, that your girlfriend, Tara Calloway, did it with Maria Manic. You guys, I think it was at Tremont's toy shop?
Yes, yeah. And they both ended up lying on the floor in the bathroom of the shop.
Oh, God, that sounds like a fun day.
For me, it was.
Because you've done it before, so you get to watch their suffering.
Exactly. And it's fun because, like, I know exactly what it's like and what they're going through.
Yeah. I remember. I mean, Kermon. I think he posted one on his Instagram, and he was doing it. And he just didn't really react to it as much. I'm like, Jesus.
Really, I don't think I saw that actually.
Yeah, everyone there, go on his Instagram. I posted one maybe a month ago or so, and check that out. Because I mean, I'm the kind of person I just don't do spicy food in general. So if I did that, I would likely just have to bury me after that.
Right. It's not for everybody.
And talking about John, we've touched on him a little bit during this podcast, but you had that best of 3 series, and you finished it with a Capital Combat match. Let's talk about the respect you gained for John, and also being in the first ever Capital Combat match, and what that was like for you.
It was awesome. It started off kind of hectic. Me and John didn't really get along. We both kind of resorted to, we kicked each other in the balls. So we both got dirty.
Great analysis.
We got to pay it off in the Capital Combat match, which was awesome, because that's kind of what people know me for. So to bring that to Capital and kind of bring like my world into Capital, which is very much not a hardcore wrestling company, it was a cool experience. Especially, me and John, we're not best friends. I don't think we'll ever be like close friends or anything. But to do it with somebody like him, who is an accomplished fighter in pro wrestling and MMA, and to get to do it with him, it kind of like meant a little bit more, just because I know what he's capable of, both in and out of the ring. And so to get to do that with him, excuse me, it brought a whole new, like you said, we both ended up respecting each other more, and we kind of both know we left doing something special.
Now, was there anything about that match that surprised you?
Yeah, when we broke a window.
Was that planned from the get-go, or did that just happen out of nowhere?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Was that planned from the get-go, or that was just spur of the moment?
Oh, no, that was spur of the moment, and regrettable, very regrettable, but it happened.
Yeah.
I gave him a little Irish flip into a car, and he just happened to go through the driver's side window. And credit to him, that might stop a few people, but he kept coming. He didn't stop. We got back in the ring eventually, and he started kicking me, and his kick hurt more than anything I've ever felt, and he was bleeding out his back, and he didn't stop, so credit to him for that.
I mean, yeah, pretty much the Terminator is greater than the Terminator. He will not stop coming for you.
I've learned. I definitely learned. I've seen it in its worst case scenario.
And also, I mean, we saw a few of the matches. We saw the AOC get involved. Logan Black mix it up. We saw Juba come to your aid. What does that mean? I mean, all you guys are tough and stuff like that. And now, I guess Juba. I mean, watching his match versus Logan, you got involved unexpectedly. What did you think of that match in general?
I loved that match actually. Juba pretty much dominated for a lot of it, and then when Logan's cronies kind of got involved, and I kind of decided I have to help even out the score a little bit. But before that, it was a great match. Both of them extremely tough. I've got my problems with Logan Black and everything now, but I'll give him credit, just like I gave John Kermon credit right from the get-go. He's a tough dude, and he really brought it to Juba, who's got the size advantage and everything on him. But they killed each other, and they were really going for it. There was a lot of stuff going on in that match that was just chaotic, which is kind of where I thrive. So I look forward to kind of getting in there with Logan Black and doing what I do and doing what he does to the same extent. And so we'll see what happens. I feel like he's got that experience factor on me where he's been wrestling much longer, but I still think that when it comes to chaos and things of that nature, I will reign supreme over him on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You guys have a very high pain threshold, and whether it's from watching you eat spicy foods or take a chair to the head or whatever you take, light bulbs, whatever. And definitely, I can tell that the high pain threshold. That's gonna be, really fun. I think that was my favorite match of the night. I know all the guys on that card busted their ass in every single match, but that match for me stood out because it was just incredibly fun to watch, and the beating both guys took, and Juba, spitting one-liners in between moves was very fun to watch.
Right, I definitely agree with that. He's got a good sense of humor while he's going to war.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my favorite move from that match was when he scoop slammed Logan with the chair.
Yes, that's kind of the move that stood out to me as well. That was one of those things you see. It's kind of like, I don't envy Logan Black at all for that one.
No, not at all. I guess some people might say the chair broke his fall, but that's a hell of a way to break your fall.
Yeah, I don't know how much that helped.
like I said, we saw your return in October. Now the Paqui Chip. So what is actually the premise of the match, though, in terms of like, so the loser has to have one Paqui Chip, or how many Paqui Chips does the loser have to have?
Oh, just one.
Just one.
I feel like if we did any more, we would actually be legitimately dead at the end of it. It's going to be, a standard match. It's me and Logan, so we'll probably not stay in the ring too much.
Yeah.
We'll take a little walk and we'll have some fun and cause some chaos. But nothing too crazy. But yeah, then the loser has to be forced to eat this chip that is the actual world's hottest chip. Like I said, I've done it before, and I won't lie, I puked afterwards, so I'm trying not to do it again. I've watched Smiley do it, and he puked. Ryan Zane, you can watch him do it on the flaming table, and you can see how little fun it is, how there's no enjoyment in it. It's not food that you eat for fun. It's an actual challenge, and so I'm positive that neither of us want to eat this chip, so it should be a good fight to a weird finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely will be, and there's obviously you guys aren't the only match on the card. There's plenty of other ones Capital has announced. And any other matches that catch your eye?
Like you brought up before, John Kermon and Ken Dixon. Dixon's a dominant dude, and everything he does is super impressive. And then, excuse me, I know how tough John Kermon can be. Plus, that's for the title. That'll be fun. Plus, you have the World War IV match, which I wish I was in it. More than anything, I wish that was the match I was in. But, I'm not. But I will be watching that right from the curtain. I promise you that.
And we also have that five-way number one contenders dance, or number one contenders match for the Capital Wrestling Championship. You got Ryan Zane, Mike Law, LSG, Matt McIntosh, Anthony Gangone. I mean, that's a really unique collection of talent right there.
Definitely. That's one, everybody in that match is super talented. Ryan Zane is a whole different character. I'm going to say that I think it'd be fun to watch him win. I'm pulling for Ryan on that one, as weird as that sounds.
Now, the holiday season's coming up, right before we get to Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV on December 29th. What do you want for Christmas, Jeff Cannonball? aside from NyQuil and a win over Logan Black.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know. I guess just being more of a shameless self-promoter. I want more spicy food. If anybody has any rare hot sauces, or if they make their own hot sauce, especially, I would love to try some of that. More things they can film me and Tara Calloway doing to put it up on YouTube for everybody else to watch. That's what I want. Just more hot peppers, more hot sauces, more weird chips and weird candy that have too much capsaicin and other hot foods in it, and more stuff like that. Because that's been a lot of fun to do with my life over the past few months, and I'd like to continue with that.
Now, I remember watching a few years ago, the LA Beast. He was the first guy I saw ever do the spicy stuff, and I think one time he chugged a whole huge thing of hot sauce.
I think I've seen that recently. I think I just saw that actually.
Yeah, I just remember that. It just flashed in my head right now, and I'm just sitting here thinking I would not want to be that guy on the toilet after that.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Because I after those episodes, I don't feel too hot, so I can't even imagine what he's feeling like. Yeah, I didn't even mean to do that. Wow.
I love it, man. But before we get out of here, anything you'd like to plug? With the obvious, flaming table and more like that, merchandise, stuff like that.
Actually, right now I'm out of t-shirts. That's on me. I got to really re-up on that. I will be doing that probably as soon as January hits. Right now, I'm kind of saving the money and trying to buy things for other people. But once that's all done, I'll buy my new shirts. Those are all going to be available on a website called ridethefury.bigcartel.com. I know they carry other pins and things like that. I don't sell anything else on there, but it's a dude I know. He's very helpful to me. He lets me put my stuff on there, so I'll plug his stuff as well. But once my shirts are available, they'll be there. Like you said, The Flaming Table, it's on YouTube. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's all at The Flaming Table. You can find me everywhere, Jeff Cannonball, one word, on Instagram and Twitter. I'm a huge fan of both of those things these days. So follow me to see where I'm at and when I put the shirts up, things like that.
Mm-hmm. There we go. It's always fun to watch those YouTube the episodes on YouTube of The Flaming Table, and I can't wait to see what else you have in store. And also, once again, I can't wait to see what you have in store for Logan Black on December 29th.
can't wait.
So we're going to take a quick break, folks, and on the other side of this, we're going to talk to John Kermon ahead of his championship match versus Ken Dixon on December 29th at Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Capital Wrestling Podcast, episode 39. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. You can find me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Find the show on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. I want to thank Jeff Cannonball for coming on earlier and talking about his Paqui Chip Deathmatch upcoming versus Logan Black, and just telling us all about the Flaming Table and a lot of his experiences. I mean, that guy has a high pain threshold, whether it's with food or wrestling. That guy does it all. So once again, thank you, Jeff, for coming on, and we look forward to see what the match you have with Logan coming up on December 29th at Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. And before we get started with our next guest, I just want to wish a happy birthday to Capital Wrestling's own Sonny Kiss, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what you have prepared for us as well at Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. And now our next guest is making his return to Capital Wrestling on December 29th. You might have known him from the trio of matches he had versus Jeff Cannonball, whether it was 2 singles matches or the third one, which was the first ever Capital Combat match. And he's none other than John Kermon. What's up, John?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, man. What are you up to today?
Not a whole lot. I just finished training in the gym. Now I'm just talking to you.
Yeah, this is the worst part of your day.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I had to, wake up and get my bearings at first.
So how did training go today?
It was good. It was at my gym at Capital MMA in Alexandria, Virginia. I just got done with some kickboxing. I had some strength training earlier, so it was a pretty good day.
Now, do you look to spread things out like that in terms of throughout the week, so you focus on certain areas every day?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Some days I do both grappling and kickboxing. So it really just depends on the day. Today was just striking, though. But it's a longer session. It's like 2 hours long.
And what about your lifting schedule? I know you do a lot of the Olympic lifting and stuff like that.
Yeah, I lift 2 times a week. Those are a little shorter. They're just normally 30 to 45 minutes. Lifting is actually the easy part of everything now. All my other training is kind of what consumes most of my time.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen you get involved with kids as well and teaching them MMA.
Yeah, I teach kids jiu-jitsu and kids. It's a fitness class, just how to work out and stuff.
Isn't it like a basic CrossFit class for kids or something?
Essentially, yeah. Obviously they're not using weights because they're just kids.
Yeah.
But we teach them things about how important it is to work out and nutrition, and then how to do certain things like squats and burpees and stuff like that.
What has the biggest surprise been for you when you work with the kids?
Well, it depends. Some of them are pretty clever, a lot more clever than I would think. They always try to trick me into making the workout not as hard as as I want it to be.
Yeah.
A lot of times, though, it doesn't work out in their favor.
But yeah, it sounds like you're definitely always very active. And I know during the warmer weather, you do the lifting outside, don't you? Yeah. As long as it's not raining,
I like to lift outside. It's better. I don't like cooling down. That's kind of one thing. I run outside a lot too, and in the winter months it's harder because anytime that you might stop, that's a chance for your body to cool down when really you want to try to keep it warm as you can. And now that the weather's in the 30s pretty regularly, it makes that a little harder too.
So where do you look to run when it gets colder? Do you do it on a treadmill or inside?
Nah, I still go outside. I go outside no matter what the weather is, which, might be a little crazy or whatever, but I don't care. That's how you get better at everything. If I can run really fast when it's snowing outside, then obviously when you take all that away, I'm going to be even faster.
Have you ever had to worry about falling down or anything and injuring yourself and before a wrestling match or an MMA fight?
Yeah, when the conditions are cold and icy or whatever, then I'll have to watch my step a little more. So I just watch the ground more than anything.
Yeah.
There's not really normally pedestrians out that I have to worry about as much at that point. So it's really just watching my step and making sure, even if I am going to step where it might be icy, I just kind of take it slow.
Now, when you're running or working out, what is like your favorite kind of music to listen to?
It depends. It kind of varies. Like sometimes I'll just listen to movie soundtracks, like the Rocky soundtrack. Sometimes I listen to like rap music. Sometimes, well, a lot of time actually I just listen to podcasts. There's this whole mental side of training when it comes to mixed martial arts and everything like that too. So it's kind of like sometimes when you listen to music, your adrenaline gets pumped up, and you don't really want that to happen when you're competing, because that's when you get stuck into like tunnel vision or whatever.
Yeah.
So you might not really be noticing everything that's happening around you. So you don't really want to get into that mindset. So I do listen to a lot of podcasts to take my mind off of, other things that might be going on, or really even such as like trying to use that adrenaline to push myself harder. I always try to use my body and my muscles. I don't ever want to rely on using too much adrenaline, because once that wears off, I'll be even more tired than I was before.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you mentioned the soundtracks. I mean, I'm actually a big fan of listening to soundtracks in the car or wherever. I like Dark Knight. I like Interstellar. Hell,
Yeah.
even The Truman Show, honestly. That's like a low-key secret one that no one really listens to, but I listen to it constantly. There's a few tracks I can't get out of my head. What's your favorite all-time soundtrack?
Probably Rocky. If not Rocky, well, it's probably Rocky. Like, Dark Knight is good and Man of Steel is good, but I don't know if I would say they're better than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dark Knight, I mean, that's just classic. I mean, for me, that's one I can listen to all the time. And then also, what about, I think Rudy's a good one, too.
Yeah. I like some of the Marvel movie songs, too. Like, whatever song they used for the Civil War commercials was good. And then the Avengers theme song, I like that one, too.
And I think, I guess, Guardians of the Galaxy had a good one, and also even Justice
yeah.
League. Justice League was great.
Yeah, anything with Hans Zimmer is pretty much guaranteed to be good.
Yeah, that guy is a boss. I hope he never retires.
Yeah, same here.
But which also, speaking of which, Jim Johnston, a longtime music composer for WWE, was let go last week.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times that happens, and really it's like a mutual thing. I imagine that's kind of the case with him. I mean, he's been around forever. How long is he going to work?
That's true. I mean, I think they had kind of outsourced a lot of their stuff to other guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's made the bulk of his money. Maybe it lightens his load a little bit. Who knows what he wants to do in the future? But he has produced some of the greatest ones in WWE history, obviously.
Oh, for sure, like all of them.
And which also brings to mind, what would be your favorite wrestling theme of all time?
Oh man, that is a good question. Man, that's so hard. I like any of the theme songs where the guys sang, whichever one it is, their own song. So, like, I like the Shawn Michaels one, even with this questionable lyrics. I like the Big Boss Man's entrance music. There was a third one that was like a classic with a guy who sung his own song, but I can't remember what it was. But those two are the first two that like come to mind that really make me think of like they're classic. Oh, I like the Nasty Boys too.
Mm-hmm. I think I like
they had good entrance music.
I think I like the remix of Shawn Michaels with Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Yeah, I can watch that all day. That's a hilarious clip there. 2017 comes to a close. What kind of goals did you have for this year, whether it's MMA, wrestling? What are ones that you have left to accomplish for the rest of the year?
Well, the year's pretty much over, so there's really not much more I can accomplish. I wanted to turn pro in MMA by the end of the year, which I did. And I wanted to win that fight, but I didn't. So I guess that's one thing I didn't do. Outside of that, though, I mean, I would say I've had a pretty good year. As far as wrestling goes, to be honest, I didn't really have any goals except for just put on the best matches I could wherever I was wrestling at. And I think I did. There are a bunch of matches I had this year where I think probably exceeded a lot of people's expectations as far as, like, either they weren't sure what to expect out of the match, or maybe they thought it would be just a good match, but it ended up being something better than even they thought it would be. Wrestling-wise, I would say I accomplished pretty much everything I wanted to. MMA-wise, the only thing I didn't do was get that pro win, but that's okay. Everybody doesn't get everything they want.
Yeah, and MMA, like you said, you had the two amateur fights, and then you had the pro fight. Well, is there any big differences you noticed going from amateur to pro, or is it just the title itself?
Nah, it's really just the title. I mean, the good thing is in Virginia, the amateur fighting, they have all the same rules as professional. The only difference is the length of the round, from 3-minute rounds to 5-minute rounds. But that's not really an issue for me as far as like being in shape. Like I knew how to handle all that and make sure that I would be good to go for those extra 2 minutes. So that wasn't really an issue for me at all.
Do you have any fights planned for 2018 already, or is that still out to be determined?
It's still being determined right now. The end of the year, there's not a lot of places are running things. And so once the year starts, we'll probably getting more stuff around like February or March, around that time range. So I should have some news on that end in the next month or so. But you can just check out my social media for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and of course your Twitter has thousands and thousands of followers.
Yeah.
And we've got the holiday season coming up. Obviously we just had Thanksgiving, which is a big food holiday, but also with Christmas. And is there any, like, what kind of, is that like your cheat season at all, or do you ever look at it that way, or do you kind of just stay focused and keep the diet the same?
I just keep it the same, primarily. And it's a thing, too, of, like, for a lot of people, they hate dieting, and it sucks for them, but I did a lot of research into it and found all the stuff I could have that still tasted good and that I could make taste good. So I don't even mind my diet. Like, I think the things that I eat are delicious.
Yeah.
So it's not really an issue for me. And it's also kind of my job. It's not like, with the MMA anyway, it's all weight based. I mean, even this past weekend I did jiu-jitsu tournament. I had to make sure that I wasn't over, a certain weight, and that requires dieting to some degree. I can't just go out and eat whatever I want to all the time. But even the training demands that. If I just ate whatever I wanted to, even 3 days a week, it would affect my training. I would feel sluggish and slow a lot of days. So it's really important for me to keep my nutrition on track. But again, I don't mind it because I think that what I eat tastes good. So it's not a problem for me. I mean, Christmas Day, of course, I'll eat with my family and stuff, but that'll probably be the only day really that I break.
That also brings up the topic of Christmas. What does John Kermon want for Christmas?
Honestly, nothing. I don't really like Christmas. I don't like Christmas. I don't like my birthday. I don't like things like that because it's just one day out of the year, and a lot of people make a big deal out of their birthday and Christmas and things like that. But if people are going to care about me, I prefer them to care about me every single day, not just one day. So to me, they're not that big of a deal. And I get more out of giving people things than anybody giving me anything. So yeah, and to me the point of Christmas is to buy somebody something that they will like without them just telling you directly what it is. You should know something about the person you're buying for and get them something they'll enjoy rather than just say, hey, what do you want? Oh, I want this movie. Okay, here you go. And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no surprise there. It's boring to me, I guess.
honestly, now that I'm adult, what I do is I give people my bills and I just say, hey, you can pay this one for me.
Oh man, actually, that's a great idea. I might do that.
I had a big physical therapy bill recently. Like, hey, I'm going to split this up for 3 people.
Yeah, man, there you go. That's pretty smart.
But yeah, we see your return to Capital Wrestling come December 29th, and you had recently had that trio of matches with Jeff Cannonball and in the best of 3, and you had the first 2 ended up in disqualifications on both sides, and the final one was a Capital Combat match, the first ever Capital Combat match. Talk about that match and what you thought, and how you did you earn a lot of respect for Jeff at the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before. I respect anybody that steps in the ring with me. So of course I already respect Jeff just on that fact. Add into that the fact that he does do deathmatch wrestling, something that I don't really have any desire at all to do, and it's even more at that point. Because those guys put their bodies through hell, man. I'm not interested in doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it actually went a little better than even I thought it might have, as far as what we were able to accomplish, as far as it being crazy. And really that was kind of what I wanted out of the match. I wanted it to be a knockdown, drag out, anything goes kind of fight, because that was supposed to be what it is. And it's people, I think nowadays, are scared to do things or take risks. Granted, not necessarily out of bad things, for their health a lot of times, I think, which is a good thing. But I think we were able to kind of push the boundaries without going too far.
and deliver a really entertaining match.
Yeah, I was talking to Jeff earlier, and he said that obviously he developed a lot of respect for you and his love of death matches. I asked if the older you get, does that affect like your willingness to do them? And he says no. There's a love for it there for him, and more power to him. Like I said, he can handle it, whether it's food, whether it's death matches. I mean, that guy has a ridiculous pain tolerance.
Yeah.
And did you have any when you got thrown into the window of the car? Did you experience any injuries there?
Surprisingly, no. I mean, I had cuts on my back, but it wasn't anything, like, there were no gashes. I didn't need to get stitches or anything like that. So I turned out surprisingly okay from that. Way better than I thought I would.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, like, the CZW had their Cage of Death match the other day, or the whole night of that with a few of them, and they had Shane Strickland fighting, who was it?
I think Ricky Shane Page and Joe Gacy. I think.
You're right, Ricky Shane Page and Joe. You're very right. That's what it was. And he took a bump and the glass went through. And I saw a picture afterwards, and his back was so torn up. I was like, I think I can see the meat. That's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm glad I did not end up like that. That was my first thought when it happened. Was my back is open.
Exactly, and then I thought to myself too. I was like, he not only took the glass like that and had to deal with the cuts. He pretty much took a 10-foot fall into the ring like backwards.
Right.
So
yeah, I saw that clip, and then he had to keep wrestling after that.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how that guy does it. So more power to him, more power to Ricky Shane Page, who's had a hell of a year himself, and Joe Gacy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was definitely I saw a bunch of clips of that show, and you had a different mix of matches, whether it was the Cage of Death, or you had a match with Joey Janela, MJF, or you had Ego, all Ego, Ethan Page versus David Starr. So definitely a lot of different kind of fights in there, and something for everyone, really.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we're having that Paqui Chip Deathmatch between Logan Black and Jeff Cannonball, and we've seen Jeff Cannonball have his flaming table show, and he had Matt Sells, Smiley, and Ryan Zane try the Paqui Chip, and I saw on your Instagram you tried it yourself.
I did.
And tell us about that experience.
So for me, not everybody is different. You know what I'm saying? Some people like spicy food, some people do not. I love spicy food. I love it. And I ate, it wasn't that spicy in my mouth. Like, it didn't burn my mouth that bad. But it upset my stomach, like, instantaneously. And I started hiccuping pretty much immediately. And I hiccuped for, like, a good hour, I think. That was the worst effect of it, though. Like, it didn't burn my mouth too much, but, man, I don't know, like, why it made me hiccup so bad, but I just could not stop for the life of me. So hopefully nothing bad happens, and whoever has to eat the chip doesn't have, like, a problem or start puking or anything like that. But that's definitely an interesting match, an interesting stipulation, and one I'm probably glad I don't have to take part in again.
He's like, yeah, throw me through 10-car windows, but don't give me another Paqui Chip.
Yeah, essentially, yes.
I mean, I can't really crap on anyone who's even attempted to try it, because myself, I don't even go near anything basically spicy. I'm the biggest wimp when it comes to that, so I don't even try.
Yeah, I mean, I like curry, hot curry, and things like that. I have a good friend who's Indian. His dad always tries to give me stuff saying, like, oh, this is going to be too spicy for him, and I eat it, and he's always amazed. But like I said, that chip, it didn't burn my mouth up so bad, but man, once it hit my stomach, I don't know what happened.
Well, so, okay, in that case, who's your favorite TNA wrestler of all time, Curryman or Sanjay Dutt?
I think it would have to be Sanjay Dutt.
Trick question there, but...
Yeah. Curryman close second, though.
Yeah, classic, man. And also, I mean, Christopher Daniels, he had a really pretty brutal match himself recently where he went through a table with Cody Rhodes for Ring of Honor. It had some actual flames on it, so...
Oh, okay.
So...
Not just some chips?
No, not just some chips, no. But, I mean, that finally brings us to this December 29th at Capitol Wrestling presents World War IV. Your turn, and how does it feel now that you're facing Ken Dixon? He's not only the Capitol Wrestling champion, but it's your first opponent aside from Jeff Cannonball. What does that mean to you?
It's a big deal. I mean, anytime you wrestle for any championship, that's a big deal. The point of being in wrestling and being in fighting is to be a champion. You don't get in these things just to be a dude that's there. So it's a big deal. You know what I mean? Not only that, but also the matches with Jeff were fun and everything, but Ken is a more traditional professional wrestler, so it'll be just a completely different style of match I've had than I think what people are used to seeing, at least the Capitol. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Anytime you can win a championship, again, is a big deal. So I'm definitely looking forward to walking out with the championship.
And, I mean, he was named champion at the last show. What do you feel about how he was named champion?
I mean, it is what it is. I don't run the place, so I don't get to make any of the rules. If he's satisfied with just being handpicked by somebody and not actually having to win something, that says a lot about the character of a guy. But that's okay. He's going to have a real challenge on the 29th when he faces me. And don't be surprised if he doesn't walk out of there as a champ.
And what do you think your biggest advantage is over Ken?
Just the mat, my ability on the mat. Like I said, Ken's a more traditional professional wrestler, so I might not even have to worry about striking as much as I did with Jeff, let alone weapons and things like that. So if Ken gets me down to hold, I could always surprise him with the roll-up, surprise him with the submission, even just surprise him with the reversal and wear him down some. One way or the other, if it goes to the mat, I know that I'm going to be at the advantage there.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of advantage do you think Ken has? I mean, like strengths that you have to minimize for Ken Dixon?
Well, he's a bigger guy, so there's little strength. He's tall, so that's going to offer him some leverage in certain positions. But, again, like I said, at the end of the day, I have a lot more experience on the mat than he does. So unless it turns into some kind of wild brawl, which I don't think it will, I think that I'm going to have the advantage for most of the match.
And, I mean, he's aligned himself with the New York Wrecking Crew, Paul Jourdain, and Matthew Ryan Shapiro. Do you have any eyes in the back of your head about them getting involved at all?
I don't. I expect, a man to show up across the ring for me. A man fights his own fights. He doesn't rely on backup. So if Ken Dixon is the man he says he is, then it'll just be me and him. I won't have to worry about those other guys. And
we've got a host of matches that night. The doors open at 7. The bell time's at 8 o'clock. We have that number one contenders 5-way dance for the Capital Wrestling Championship. Those are guys you could face as yourself in the future if you win that belt. On December 29th, you got Anthony Gangone, Matt McIntosh, LSG, Mike Law, and Ryan Zane. What do you think about that field?
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if one of them wins. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and try to even think beyond Ken Dixon because he's the first in line. I got to beat him first to get it.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, I don't have to face all 5 of those guys. I only have to face one of them. Is there any of those guys that intimidate me? No. At the end of the day, I'll be able to, once whoever it is determined, I'll be able to adjust to their style. It's not like the match is going to happen that night, so I'll have time, like I said, to come up with the game plan and everything and try to combat whatever offense they may have, whether it be high flyer, technical guy, striker, brawler. It doesn't make a difference. I'll come up with some kind of plan to take them down for sure.
Mm-hmm. And, obviously a common New Year's resolution for a lot of people is losing weight, but I don't think you have to do that since you're in incredible physical shape. But what do you think about just a New Year's resolution for yourself?
I don't know. I think I'm actually probably going to spend less time on social media. Maybe. We'll see. I haven't made up my mind on that. My New Year's resolution this year was to volunteer once a month, and I've done that. So I haven't really thought about what I want to do for 2018 yet.
Was that so others may eat?
Yeah. Volunteering at the local kitchen or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And is that pretty fulfilling for you?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to do that kind of stuff. And, it's like a lot of people like to say the most important part of charity is giving money. But if there aren't people out there volunteering, then all your money's doing is paying someone's salary. So it's like you can pick and choose, I guess, which one is most important. But to me, if you're not out there doing anything, then you're kind of being lazy to a degree.
So pretty much actions have to be...
sound like an asshole.
No, you sound like one all the time. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So pretty much what you're saying is actions have to be taken. You can put all the money, throw all the money you want at something, but actions must be taken.
Right.
So any last words for Ken Dixon before we get out of here?
No, just I'll see you December 29th. Hope you got your dance shoes on, baby, because we're going to get down.
And also, what about, you had that recent match versus Wheeler Yuta at Nova Pro, and what are your thoughts about upcoming Nova Pro card?
I know me and Dominic Green are facing in a no ropes match. There's going to be no ropes on the ring. I think it's the main event.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a women's street fight. I mean, it's the last card of the year for Nova Pro. A lot of things that are happening this year are going to get settled on this one. So if you've been following them, you'll definitely want to check that out. It's also going to be their first time streaming as well. They're going to be on powerbomb.tv. And then the Capital card is going to be streaming on the 29th on Twitch. So back-to-back nights, one company is having their streaming debut and I'm in the main event. The next night, company is having their streaming debut and I'm wrestling for the championship. So if you want to question my talent level, just take those two things into account, please.
There we go. That's a hell of a resume right there, and two big accomplishments for you. So we're really proud to have you on both of those shows, and proud to have you here in the Capital Wrestling Podcast. Any other plugs? Do you want to plug any merchandise or any upcoming matches or anything else?
Nah, just follow me on Instagram. It's at Kermonator, KERMONATOR. That's it.
There we go. And also, if you're looking to get into MMA and fitness, go to Capital MMA. There's plenty of great stuff there. Not only Capital Wrestling, but John Kermon is also involved with Capital MMA.
Yep.
So once again, John, really thank you for coming on the podcast this week and spending your time here. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I love coming on here with you and talking about this stuff.
Always, man. And once again, everyone, I want to thank you for listening. That was this week's episode 39 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. Once again, we're going to have the show on 12/29. You go to Groupon.com, search we have a 2 for $20 deal right now. You can go to brownpapertickets.com, search Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. We're here every Wednesday on YouTube at Capital Wrestling at the Capital Wrestling YouTube. Also go to SoundCloud.com/ElTorresPodcast. Follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Look for us on Facebook and Instagram. Every Monday night, you can catch us on Twitch at 7:05, twitch.tv/Capital Wrestling. And we're also on GFQ, GFQlive.tv. And plenty of merchandise. Go to whatamaneuver.net, ProWrestlingTees.com, and Amazon.com. Got plenty of great shirts. Got the new Bastard shirt. We got the Rotunda tee. We got baby onesies, hats, hoodies, everything you can want. So once again, we're going to have a really hell of a card coming up on December 29th. You don't want to miss it. Come to Capital Wrestling. Doors open at 7. Card starts at 8. So we're going to have a pre-show match before that as well. So lots of great things. Going to be capped off with Ken Dixon and John Kermon for the Capital Wrestling Championship. We're going to have World War IV. We're going to have a little bit of everything. Next week, come back. We're going to have Matt McIntosh. We're going to have Ken Dixon. We're going to have Preston Quinn. So lots of great guys coming on the podcast in the next few weeks. You're not going to want to miss it. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you here next week.